What's going on, guys? Everyone is talking about these new Trump tariffs and the implications they might cause. What will this do to the real estate investing market? What will it do to real estate in general? How will it impact tenants, potential home buyers? All of these are questions I'm going to try and answer in this video and help you understand what you can do. So with that being said, let's jump into it. First off, I want to start by saying I try really hard to stay out of politics because I'm no politician and a lot of this stuff is over my head. However, after seeing the bleeding that's gone on in the stock market and the massive impact this has had on a lot of investors in the stock market and big businesses, it leaves a lot of real estate investors like myself wondering how and will this impact real estate investors. Today, I'm going to try and talk about all of the potential pros and cons that might come due to these tariffs. Specifically, I want to dive into the impact they're going to have on single family, multifamily, and larger multifamily, and tenants. I just beg you to remember, I'm not an economist, an accountant, a lawyer, a politician. I didn't even finish college. I just own $50 million of real estate, and so I'm just extremely invested in researching and trying to figure out what the impact on real estate investors will be. Now that we've covered all of that, let's jump into it, and if you do get any value out of this video, just remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, smash the little bell so that we can catch you in future videos. We're going to start with the low-hanging fruit and then get a little more into the dicey stuff later on in the video, but the first thing we know these tariffs will impact is the cost of construction. So many things for construction are coming from all over the world to the United States. And so by implementing these tariffs, not only are the prices on their goods going to go up, but there's going to be more pressure, and with supply and demand, that pressure on the United States, because we're not capable of handling it right now, is going to cause pricing to increase. This in turn is going to make it so that anything you're purchasing new is just going to cost more. Now, there's always a chance that builders don't pass these costs to buyers, but the odds of that happening just aren't good. Because pricing is going up, affordability is going down, you're going to see a slowing in the market. Now, this might be interesting because in a lot of areas, we are having a housing crisis where there's just not enough. And so if we slow down construction because expenses go up and because of the potential fear involved, I don't know what impact that's going to have. It could just further increase inflation. The increased interest rates and increased price of new housing could also lower the cost because there's just no demand. For larger multifamily developments, this might have them completely bail on projects, or the projects that they do, they're going to have to demand higher rents, which it might be tricky to fill those higher rents. The one thing we know with all of this is that things are going to be more expensive, which is going to impact the affordability of housing, at least right now in the early stages of these tariffs. This also is going to make it so that renovation costs are more expensive as well, which is going to make current rents need to go up if you're needing to do renovations, which again will have implications. So here's where it gets complicated. Will current owners of real estate, out of fear, potentially sell at a discount? Yes. Will construction costs go up, causing multifamily, new construction, new single-family construction to go up in price? Yes. Will this make the cost of single family, multifamily, and larger multifamily go up or down? Yes. I think there will be winners that because of the fear they pick up deals at a deep discount. I also think there will be losers because construction is so expensive that people overpay and then end up with something that maybe isn't worth what they paid for at some point. I just don't know. All I know is this is going to make prices go up. This is going to create fear, and there are going to be lots of opportunities for gains and for losses. Now, I don't want to get hung up on this, and so we're going to move forward into the impact that I think this is going to have on tenants. And in turn, if it's impacting tenants, it's going to impact real estate investors. These impacts might not be immediate, but there really will be a ripple effect of increasing prices, especially on the middle class and the middle lower class that are the renters. With these tariffs, prices on everything are going to increase. That's going to be everything from food to any products that people are needing, and this is going to have an impact on their already pressed income. Consumer debt is at an all-time high, and so we really are at a tipping point where lots of people are feeling the pressure, they're feeling the hurt. And so the impact of these tariffs, whether temporary or long-term, is going to hurt because prices are going to increase. I do have a concern that this really eats into the disposable income of tenants and any reserves they might have, or just further digs the hole of debt that they might already be in. I think the real fear is if inflation continues to increase, interest rates aren't going to come down unless we're in a really, really rough situation. I had a real estate investor I was talking to the other day, and he said everybody wants 3% interest rates, but things have to get really bad for us to go back to 3% interest rates, especially to go back there quickly after everything that we learned through COVID. This means that tenants and just everyone in general is going to get squeezed. Cost of living is going to increase. Cost of goods are going to increase. Now, with the fear, the question is, are wages going to be able to increase with all of these other things? Because businesses are scared. And so will they be able to increase wages so that their people can afford living? I do think, just from looking at the history of tariffs, job volatility is something that's going to happen. And so not only is there a fear that wages don't increase so that people can handle these new expenses, but there's a chance that job loss does happen for a lot of people. The other big question I have is, how will these tariffs impact me with my business or other smaller real estate investors that aren't these big corporations? Because if inflation goes crazy and expenses of construction and all these other things go up, in turn, I have to believe taxes, insurance, and these other things are going to increase as well, which is going to put more pressure on us, especially with higher interest rates, to need to increase rents. But will there be a tenant that can pay the increased rents? Now, at this point, you're probably saying, yes, Chandler, you are not an accountant, a lawyer, a politician, or an economist. And so if you're feeling that way at the end of the video, these are just my concerns after researching at the implications that could happen. Now, a couple things I've heard from a lot of people are these are all a negotiation tactic. At some point, the tariffs will be lifted, America will be in a better place, and will be thriving. And there's just a temporary interim of having these issues. Other people are saying, hey, we're going to hold to these tariffs. We're going to bring lots of business back to America. Our companies are going to thrive, and it's going to be awesome. I think with both of these options, they kind of compete against each other, and here's where my concern lies with them. If this is all a negotiation tactic, and big businesses or small businesses hold on to that idea, what is the likelihood with all of this fear that they're going to invest a ton back into America to go through the entire process of building buildings when construction is more expensive than ever, in trying to build their businesses here when they already have businesses overseas? I think that idea is where it's a little intimidating, because how long does it take to get everything here in America that we need? And how many businesses are going to be willing to take that risk during this time of really high fear? I hope I'm not sounding like a Debbie Downer. I don't know what's coming. The one thing that I do know is there are going to be opportunities all along the way. And that's what I'm really leaning into. I believe that as long as you as a real estate investor are keeping proper reserves, you're working hard to set aside a savings, and you're continuing to pick up rental properties all through the process at good cash flowing deals, then you're going to end up in a good place. The only way that you might get in trouble is if you are not keeping proper reserves, so that if crap does hit the fan, you're in a good place. And if you're not looking at this as an opportunity to capitalize on the fear of a lot of people that are willing to let go of their properties at a deep discount, and find the perfect balance with that so that you don't look back and say, oh man, I should have kept enough reserves, and oh man, I should have bought when people were selling out of fear, because now things are going well. The last point I want to make is, do I know for sure what's coming, how long it's going to last, when/if it's going to go back up or down or sideways? I really don't. But I do believe that if you continue to make the right decisions in buying good cash flowing assets, you're going to win, especially if you're being smart about your reserves. Now, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and let me know in the comments. If you hate my take on how these are impacting real estate investors, I'll stay in my lane and not hit topics like this in the future. But if you enjoyed it, let me know. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.